Hello everyone, I'm Enming Cao from Zongbei Middle School. I'm very glad to stand here. Some said teenagers are too young to deal with major issues because they're not experienced enough. That is to say, some critics think we teenagers' thoughts are too naive, and teenagers are always not as capable as adults. But here, today, I want to say that teenagers have already proved that the saying is not true. Here are some proof. As we all know, the famous Chinese youth singer Roy Wang became one of the delegates of United Nations Youth Forum. In addition, in the latest Forbes 30 Under 30, 17 Chinese young talents are also representing the most outstanding talents in their respective fields, who are either making big changes in the world or shaking our minds. These 17 Chinese young talents have made remarkable achievements in fields like financial, technology, science, and venture investment. And my own experience in the Model United Nations is also a good example. Last year, North America Individual Model United Nations China was held in Chengdu. Delegates from all over the world took part in it. One thing was in common. They were all teenagers. There were 4 committees, and different committees had different themes. I was in UNEP and represented Greece to solve some environmental problems. The United Nations Environment Program is the permanent body responsible for environmental planning within the framework of United Nations. In the model conferences, the delegates discussed 2 major issues to promote sustainable development. During the conferences, the delegates discussed the climate change and loss of biodiversities. They researched the country's background on official United Nations websites. They researched the country's geographical conditions, political systems, even the policies that have been put in place. During the conferences, the delegates discussed climate change and loss of biodiversities, debated for profit maximization. We tried our best to get our acts together by negotiating. We established country blocks to come up with programs and proposals that were the interest of many countries. We not only thought in regional ways and proceed from reality, but also considered the indications that other delegates had expressed. The logical relationship behind things must also be thought over. For example, when we talk about wildfire and its emergency coping strategies, Russians cared, but Egyptians didn't. We needed to find a balance. Countless motions and drafts had been discussed and overruled. This hard work made it possible to find out a way that meets every country's need. These behavior patterns make sure that the resolutions are the most feasible ones. Everyone was active and responsible because their words and decisions would influence the countries they represented. Everyone was active and responsible. They might be craven and selfish before. They might be yes men before. They might know few grave news and issues before. But, however, the Model United Nations experience kept reminding them to be open-minded and long-sighted. They looked things from a higher perspective and solved problems like real politicians. In general, we all learned a lot. Maybe the senses of some teenagers are not proper. They can't realize their extremely strong powers if they were given a chance. They can't stand out and speak out. They just need some effective training to inspire the potential. English communication skills, academic research skills, and creative and critical thinking skills are the most important skills for this generation. And the most valid training for these skills is the Model United Nations. Though we teenagers are not experienced enough, but we are still trying to deal with the problems in progressive and scientific ways. I strongly believe that we teenagers can and will learn. More importantly, we can do everything if we were given a chance. Thank you for your listening.